The scale and characteristics of homelessness in no home, no job, just living day by day. They're the forgotten souls who wander the streets, weak, tired, and weather-beaten, desperate and invisible. They face a constant battle with exhaustion and broken spirits. Living in makeshift shelters and dilapidated tents, these resilient yet fragile individuals endure loneliness, hunger, and uncertainty. You might think such scenes belong only to remote slums and poor countries, but the heartbreaking truth is that they exist right here in America, hidden in the shadows of gleaming buildings, amid bustling crowds that paint a picture of prosperity. So what can we, the people who see but fail to act, do to change this reality? Share your thoughts in the comments, because it is the voices of the community that can shine a light of hope for the unfortunate. Don't forget to like and subscribe to join us on our journey to discover and spread this untold story. Overview of the homelessness situation in the United States. Homelessness in America is more than just a number. It is a sprawling crisis reflecting economic pressures, social fractures, and political failures. Thousands of individuals and families find themselves without shelter, stripped of the basic stability most take for granted. These are people who lose their homes to skyrocketing rents, face stagnant wages that never keep pace with living costs, or suffer from health issues with nowhere to turn. The economic roots run deep. Rising housing prices push affordability out of reach, while wages remain stubbornly low for many sectors. The gap between the wealthy and the poor widens relentlessly, creating a chasm where millions fall through. Social factors only deepen the crisis. Mental health struggles and substance addiction often leave people vulnerable, isolated, and without the support they desperately need. Meanwhile, public assistance programs and shelters are overwhelmed and chronically underfunded, falling far short of meeting the demand. As a result, countless individuals are left out in the cold with nowhere to turn. Homelessness is not a personal failure or a choice. It's a glaring symptom of deep societal inequality and systemic neglect. How can communities truly heal and thrive when so many lack the fundamental security of a home? Which policies have proven effective in addressing homelessness? And where have government efforts fallen dramatically short? Digging into these questions uncovers a harsh reality. Homelessness in America is a complex, multi-layered challenge that intersects with healthcare, justice, and economic opportunity. But despite its scale and complexity, this crisis is not unsolvable. The first step toward meaningful change is understanding the root causes and how they intertwine. From there, we can work toward solutions that restore dignity and hope to millions. Next, we'll take a closer look at some of the cities where this crisis is most visible. Places where the stark contrasts between wealth and poverty collide in ways that demand urgent attention. Exploring the homelessness hotspots in major U.S. cities reveals a complex and varied landscape of struggle and resilience across the nation. Each city carries its own story shaped by local history, economics, and social dynamics, offering important insights into the broader crisis. Manhattan, the financial heart of New York City, is a place of extreme contrasts. Towering skyscrapers and luxury apartments stand side by side with streets where hundreds of people endure nights without shelter. Skyrocketing rents have pushed many out of the housing market, forcing the most vulnerable into visible poverty amid the city's wealth. This stark disparity raises urgent questions about access to affordable housing and social safety nets in America's most iconic urban center. Across the river, Brooklyn presents a different yet related challenge. Known for its cultural diversity and creative communities, the borough has been transformed by rapid gentrification. Longtime residents face displacement as neighborhoods change, and those with limited resources are increasingly marginalized. The pressures of urban development have made it difficult for many to maintain stable housing, forcing a growing population toward the edges of society. The Bronx tells a story of resilience amid hardship, rich in cultural heritage but burdened by persistent poverty. This borough struggles with a shortage of affordable homes and overtaxed public services. Despite these difficulties, local communities continue to demonstrate strength and solidarity, showing that hope can endure even in the toughest environments. Out west, Los Angeles embodies both opportunity and crisis. Skid Row remains a haunting symbol of the city's homelessness epidemic, where mental health issues and substance addiction affect a significant portion of the population. The area's tightly knit community coexists with an overwhelming sense of neglect. Nearby Venice Beach contrasts its vibrant artistic scene and popular tourism with a significant homeless population fighting to survive daily challenges largely ignored by visitors and policymakers alike. Las Vegas, particularly Fremont Street, dazzles with neon lights and nonstop entertainment. Yet beneath this glow lies a rapidly growing homeless community facing hunger, instability, and harsh living conditions. The city's booming tourism economy masks a worsening social problem that demands attention beyond the glitz and glamour. Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood, celebrated for its cultural diversity and progressive spirit, confronts a rising housing crisis. Despite grassroots efforts and local programs aimed at supporting those without homes, the demand far exceeds available resources. The struggle to balance growth and compassion reflects broader challenges faced by cities nationwide. In the desert city of Phoenix, extreme heat and a scarcity of affordable housing amplify the difficulties faced by homeless residents. The harsh climate adds an urgent layer of danger to an already vulnerable population, highlighting the unique regional challenges of homelessness beyond the coasts. Philadelphia's 30th Street Station functions as more than just a transit hub. It doubles as a temporary shelter for many seeking refuge. This intersection of modern progress and social hardship symbolizes the often invisible hardships faced by urban populations trying to navigate limited options. Finally, San Francisco's Tenderloin district starkly displays the gap between wealth and poverty. As one of the city's most notorious homeless hotspots, it suffers from limited social services despite persistent need. The area serves as a microcosm of urban inequality and the struggle to address homelessness amid booming real estate markets. These diverse urban landscapes bring up essential questions for all of us. Why do certain cities become epicenters of homelessness? What factors contribute to making some areas more vulnerable? How can a deeper understanding of local conditions lead to more effective, compassionate solutions? As we continue this exploration, consider this. In your own community, what steps could be taken to bridge the gap between wealth and homelessness? How can we all participate in creating cities that offer dignity and hope to every resident? The homelessness crisis in America is not simply a matter of empty beds or people sleeping on the streets. It is a profound human tragedy that unfolds daily behind closed doors, quiet alleyways, and forgotten corners. At its core, homelessness reflects a complex mix of systemic failures and personal struggles, a crisis rooted deeply in the fabric of our society. To truly understand it, we must look beyond the surface numbers and see the people trapped in an endless cycle of loss, fear, and desperation. One of the most glaring causes is the severe shortage of affordable housing. Across the country, the supply of low-cost homes is shrinking rapidly while demand surges, forcing many to compete for an increasingly scarce resource. Meanwhile, housing prices and rents have skyrocketed, far outpacing wages that have remained stagnant or barely grown over decades. When someone's paycheck cannot keep up with rent, they face impossible decisions, choosing between paying for a roof over their head or buying food, medicine, and other essentials. This economic squeeze pushes countless individuals and families toward homelessness. But the crisis runs deeper than just dollars and cents. Economic inequality has grown steadily worse. widening the gap between those with secure homes and those without. Meanwhile, the social safety nets designed to catch the most vulnerable are frayed and overwhelmed. Waiting lists for shelters and assistance stretch on, resources are insufficient. And too often the system fails to meet real, urgent needs. Mental health struggles and substance addiction also play critical roles. Many people facing homelessness suffer from untreated or poorly managed mental illnesses, often a consequence of trauma, isolation, or long-term hardship. Addiction may both arise from and contribute to their unstable circumstances, becoming a heartbreaking coping mechanism to dull pain in a harsh world. Yet, the support services needed to address these challenges are often fragmented, underfunded, or stigmatized, leaving people to fall through the cracks. Individual factors add another layer of complexity. Experiences of family violence, broken relationships, or personal tragedies can shatter the fragile stability of a person's life, pushing them into homelessness. Without strong community support or effective intervention, these wounds deepen, leaving lasting scars and perpetuating the cycle of poverty and despair. Ultimately, homelessness is a reflection of more than a lack of housing. It is a lack of security, belonging, and hope. It is about the loss of identity and dignity, about waking up every day uncertain if survival is even possible. The shame and isolation that come with being pushed to society's margins weigh heavily on the human spirit, often eroding the will to keep fighting. This brings us to an urgent and personal question. If you or someone you loved were caught in this endless loop of hardship, what would you need most? Yes, a home is essential, but so is compassion, understanding, and the chance to rebuild a life with support and respect. How can we, as communities and as a society, rise to bridge this divide? How do we transform homelessness in America from cold statistics into stories of healing and hope? Recognizing these root causes is the first step toward meaningful change, and the journey that millions desperately need. The Visitors, Chasing More Than Sunsets. When faced with the overwhelming crisis of homelessness in America, it's easy to feel powerless, even hopeless. But across the country, communities are forging new paths. Solutions grounded not just in policy, but in humanity. One of the most promising approaches is the housing first model. This idea flips the old way of thinking on its head. Instead of requiring people to fix their problems before they get housing, Housing First gives people stable homes right away. Because having a home isn't a reward for being ready. It's a basic human right and the foundation for healing. Once a person has that stability, supportive services can step in, whether it's counseling for mental health, addiction recovery programs, or job training. Imagine how different life looks when your biggest worry is no longer, where will I sleep tonight? But how can I rebuild my life? This approach respects dignity and meets people where they are, understanding that everyone's journey is unique. Beyond Housing First, there's an urgent need to invest in affordable housing itself. Cities, governments, nonprofits, and private investors must come together to build and preserve homes people can afford. This means creative financial tools, zoning reforms, and fighting the stigma around low-income housing. Because safe, affordable homes are the foundation of thriving communities, not just for those who are homeless, but for everyone. Healthcare, especially mental health care, must also be part of the equation. Too many people fall through the cracks, facing untreated illnesses or addiction without support. Integrating healthcare with housing services creates a network of care that can catch people before crisis strikes or help them recover when it does. Access to quality treatment should be a right, not a privilege. Another vital piece is employment. Without opportunities to earn steady income, escaping homelessness remains almost impossible. Job training programs tailored for those with barriers, whether due to lack of experience, education, or past challenges, can open doors. Employment doesn't just provide money, it restores self-worth and connection to community. Finally, building strong, Connected communities plays a huge role in healing. Isolation is a silent enemy for many experiencing homelessness. Faith-based groups, local nonprofits, and neighborhood networks can offer not just material aid, but belonging, friendship, and hope. The power of knowing someone cares, truly cares, cannot be underestimated. We must ask ourselves, how can each of us help build these bridges? Whether through volunteering, donating, advocating, or simply listening, every action counts. What would it mean for our neighborhoods if we all saw homelessness not as a problem out there, but as a shared challenge? A personal reflection. The faces behind the crisis. Meeting someone who has experienced homelessness changes the way you see the world. Their stories shatter stereotypes and remind us of the resilience of the human spirit. I remember speaking with Maria, a woman who lost her home after a sudden illness took away her ability to work. She told me about the shame she felt sleeping on benches, the fear of judgment, and the kindness of strangers who offered a warm meal or a smile. But more than anything, she spoke about hope, the hope that one day she could live without fear again. These stories aren't isolated. They are the threads in the fabric of homelessness in America, each unique, each filled with struggle and strength. Too often, society reduces these lives to labels: addict, lazy, criminal, when in truth, these are our neighbors with hopes, dreams, and histories just like anyone else. Recognizing the humanity in each person experiencing homelessness is the first step toward change. It challenges us to move beyond blame and fear toward empathy and action. How often do we walk past someone on the street and choose not to see them? What if we paused instead? What if we listened? This reflection also calls on us to challenge the systems that fail these individuals. It is easy to cast judgment, but harder and far more necessary to confront the policies, inequalities, and biases that allow homelessness to persist. When did our society become one where a decent place to sleep is a privilege rather than a right? In listening to these stories, we find not only sorrow but inspiration. The courage it takes to survive day by day, to ask for help, and to keep moving forward is extraordinary. How can we honor that courage with meaningful support? Conclusion. Homelessness in America reveals deep cracks in our society, but it also opens a door for change, both as communities and as individuals. The journey ahead won't be easy or fast, but it begins with recognizing that every person deserves dignity, safety, and hope. Real progress needs bold ideas, sustained commitment, and most importantly, listening to those who have lived this experience firsthand. Beyond policies, it calls for a shift in how we see one another, from fear and judgment to empathy and solidarity. Imagine a world where no one is invisible, where helping each other is a shared value, and where homelessness is not the end of a story but a new beginning. So, what role will you play? How can we, together, rewrite this story? Share your thoughts below, because change starts when we choose to see and act.